Welcome to another live stream from the Three Girls in Love channel. My name is Joseph Darling. Today we're talking about a TEDx talk that I watched a long time ago. It was actually really good, and it was done by TEDx, and it was for a women's conference, and the title is Why Moms Are Miserable.
About a year.
So I want to review it one more time because I think, like, when I watched it last time, I was amazed how she put it so simply, why moms are miserable. And this applies perfectly to the Three Girls in Love philosophy, which is that monogamy doesn't work, and it actually is beneficial mostly for women and children to have responsible polygyny when they have a trustworthy and wealthy man. Okay, it's critical that he has that in place first. So, but as long as the man receives the stamp of approval, it will always be beneficial for women. And I want to help you understand that through the words of someone else who doesn't know about Three Girls in Love, but who's trying to solve the problem with monogamy. Okay, so let's just watch it and we'll see what happens.
A year ago, as I was finishing my research on motherhood, I came across The Feminine Mystique, written by Betty Friedan in 1963. The title of the first chapter is The Problem That Has No Name. As I read through the pages, I felt my heart bursting. I thought to myself, every mom needs to know what's in these pages. It helps give meaning to where moms were back then and where we still are today. Betty Friedan was able to interview these mothers who shared with her that they felt unfulfilled, alone, and ashamed to admit that they felt lost in the midst of motherhood. She called this the problem that has no name. The spread into suburbia with its green lawns and large corner lots was isolating for moms. Their worries over smallpox and polio were replaced by depression and alcoholism.
Okay, so first of all, they talk about the 60s, I guess, a book that was written a long time ago, and they're talking about how women are isolated and depressed when they become mothers. And obviously, women are social creatures more than anyone else. Okay, they're way more social creatures than men are, and that's why they thrive on having other women around them. But suburbia, wouldn't that mean that there's, like, you have a suburb and then there's other women there to help each other? Well, let's keep looking and hear what she has to say.
Drug remedies, such as Mother's Little Helper, promised relief from boredom, unhappiness, and anxiety. Sure, we've come a long way since the 1950s, but the feeling of loneliness and lack of fulfillment is still the same today.
Loneliness, lack of fulfillment. Why do you think women en masse has chosen to take on careers? Okay, you have the insecurity of the man being able to provide. You have the increase in taxes from governments that causes women to have to also go to work because, it's like half of the salary goes to the government and half of the salary goes to the family, which means that both have to work now because before it wasn't always like this. Okay, the man could go out and work and then he'd bring home a lot of money, or a lot, it was sufficient for their needs. But, the government has also increased taxes, which causes, both partners to go out as well because there's not enough. But then you also have the aspect of women being unfulfilled by being at home. Like, literally, they feel that they're not using their talents. They're not contributing to the world. They're not going out. But really, what's going on is that they're isolated and depressed and don't want to be with their kids all of the time.
In my practice as a child and family therapist, I have heard a familiar story over and over. Mothers who feel exhausted, overwhelmed, and lonely in their lives. I knew that I could relate to feeling exhausted and overwhelmed, but I didn't think that loneliness applied to me. Or did it? I thought to myself, I'm still best friends with people from childhood. I have a loving and supportive husband. I volunteer in my kids' schools and in our community. My calendar is booked with dinners and parties. So I thought I was doing okay until one day something happened that changed all of that. A few years ago, after being in excruciating pain for 2 days, I drove myself to the ER. Once I was examined, I was immediately admitted into a private room where I turned the TV on and settled in for what I figured was going to be a long night. And despite the fact that I was in a lot of pain, I was actually quite content. I was laying in one of those reclining hospital beds. I had nurses coming in and checking on me.
Okay, I just want to explain to you before, I haven't watched this for a long time, so I don't remember the story she's about to explain. But I know for sure that it has to do with the fact that women very often, when they manage to get away from their family, when they get away from their kids, it just relaxes them into this bliss of femininity because they don't have to do something. Okay, like very often as a mother, you're on all of the freaking time if you're, in monogamy, if you're a super mom. All women who love their kids are super moms, okay, to the best of their ability when they have kids. But the moment they are able to stay away from their kids for a while and get a vacation, this should be a lifelong thing. Women should be on vacation their entire lives. The problem is that when they're in the home with their kids and being nagged at on a continual basis, they never get that relaxation feeling unless they leave their kids. So women going to work very often is a vacation from their kids because kids have a lot of emotional needs. However, if women were 3 women, then they could handle those kids' emotional needs and be able to take small mini vacations in the home. And even being with the kids would be a vacation because they're not the ones that are being nagged on a continual basis. Do you understand the picture? Obviously, we haven't finished her story, so I want to hear it.
I had a warm hospital blanket on, and I was watching Sunday Night Football. I had no kids to put down, no dishes to unload, and no laundry to fold. It was just me, alone, in a room. And then I had a light bulb moment. I thought, oh, I've heard about this before. This is what people are talking about. I was having a hospital fantasy, a real life hospital fantasy. And it felt really good. But after I found out that I was having a kidney stone attack, the novelty did wear off. And I thought to myself, besides my family, who could I call? Who could I call right now to simply say, I am in the hospital, I don't need anything from you, no meals, no driving kids around, I just thought that you'd want to know. And in that moment, I realized that I was just as disconnected from my community as the mothers I see in my practice.
Bam! Okay, this is really good. So she is obviously in the hospital. She can't, she has the time to call someone, and she feels okay, this is a bad picture of her. Okay, so she feels disconnected to the world. Like she has best friends since childhood. She explained this in the beginning. She has, she goes to her community and serves and volunteers. She has, her work and blah, blah, blah. But there was no one that she wanted to call and connect with, and explain to her situation. This is part of the isolation aspect, and women have a lot of superficial relationships that lack the depth that women need in order for them to be truly emotionally fulfilled long term. And the reason why is because other women very often are going in other directions. Okay, they're not going in the same direction. Every woman has her own direction. she has her beliefs, she has her value system, and she's going somewhere. But other women have their beliefs and their value systems, and they're going somewhere else very often, and they're busy with their own crap. They're busy with their own stuff. So they very often don't have the opportunity of connecting. Okay? Now she's probably going to share some, solution of women need to connect more and talk to each other more. But no, they need three girls in love. Okay, this is what women need on a whole world basis, where they have two best friends forever, okay, that they're three together, sharing everything in life. Okay? So anyway, yeah, let's keep going.
I had gotten so busy doing what all of us do. I moved around, raising kids, and advancing my career. I was living my life in 60-minute increments, going from school to soccer, home, and back to work. I was feeling lonely, and I didn't even know it. 50 years later, the problem that has no name is still with us. It shows itself differently, but it's still the same problem. Today, we have the rabbit hole of social media that shows what all the other mommies are doing better than us.
This one is actually worth bringing up. Women connect with social media a lot. And if you've noticed, again, those are very shallow, superficial relationships. And it's almost as if women kind of compete a little bit with each other. The more masculine women become, the more competitive they become. And they want to see what everyone else is doing so that they know that they're equal, that they're okay. Okay, women have security as a huge thing, but then they also have the aspect of not being left behind or not being equal to other women. So if women are succeeding, then they want to become just as successful as other women. If women have great relationships, okay, they're fake very often on social media, then they want to make sure that their relationship is just as amazing, And they're comparing themselves to women that have nothing to do with their lives. That's a problem. That is a burden. That makes women more masculine. The goal is to really, in a perfect society, women wouldn't use social media. Like, what would be the point? They would get their fulfillment from their two best friends and from their family and from the close relationships they have with those in their community and extended family, etc., etc. They wouldn't try to have shallow relationships with women that they never see on a continual basis. Like that, it doesn't make any sense. They would, if you could choose, which one would you have? 1,000 shallow friends, or two, or let's say 5 or 6 really deep relationships. Okay, like I prefer, personally, I prefer the same. I prefer having very deep relationships that massively fulfill me in terms of working together with men in establishing businesses. And in the same way, I believe you are the same in terms of desiring a few key relationships to life of people in your life, preferably, obviously, women, that you can connect with on a deep, deep, deep basis. And that's what you can get from Three Girls in Love.
If we're a working mom, we feel guilty. And if we're a stay-at-home mom, we feel judged.
If we're a working mom, we feel guilty. Guilty, why? Because you're sending your kids off to school and they, hope for the best, that they get a good education, that they're being well taken care of by government employees, and let's hope so. You feel guilty because you know inherently as a mother that you're supposed to be the one taking care of them. You're the one supposed to be raising them. And you would do that naturally if you were feminine. The fact is that you as a woman can't handle being with kids that much by yourself. If you were with 2 other best friends, that would be a piece of cake and you would enjoy every single minute of it. Because who wouldn't want to spend time with their kids if their kids are being obedient and they're emotionally fulfilled and they're happy? The reason why kids are exhausting very often is because the kids are not getting what they need. And what they need is not social, okay, from school. What they need are their mothers. What they need is being loved, is receiving attention, is receiving adoration from someone who is deeply connected with them, like, for example, a mother. Also, she mentioned stay-at-home mothers are judged. They're judged because it's kind of like, why are you, why are you a stay-at-home mother? It doesn't, like, don't you feel lonely? Don't you feel that something's missing, And very often it's kind of like the feminists lie type thing where women are trying to get everyone to do the same thing as they are doing. And I'd compare it to a woman who is promiscuous, okay? So it means that she has a lot of sexual partners, and she's trying to get the girls that are virgins or the girls that are not having as high partner counts as herself to go out there and party with her and get her to, lose her virginity, but also, be a little bit more available for the guys. Why? Because it doesn't make her look bad. Okay, women do this inherently and naturally without even thinking about it. And they might even question, what do you mean? Oh, maybe that is what I'm doing. Yeah, exactly. In the same way, you could compare that to, when stay-at-home mothers are judged because it's the guilty mothers that are out in the workforce that are basically, well, I don't want to feel guilty, so it's better to get the women that are stay-at-home to think like me, to come with me so they can all be in the workforce. And that's kind of what the pull that's happening to stay-at-home mothers is like, come on, get a job. Come on, do something worthwhile in life. The most important work that you will ever do is within the walls of your own home. That's the most important work. The work you do with your kids is more important than your husband's or your man's work long term. Even if he makes millions of dollars, who cares? Okay? What matters is that the kids are emotionally fulfilled. Women have the most important job on planet Earth. And when they're not fulfilling that job, kids miss out. They grow up and they are emotionally unfulfilled growing up, and so they don't fulfill others when they're grown up. And men are out there, trying their best to build something and to and become rich, and then they come home and their family's a mess because their women are burdened, because they go, because they're trying to do everything, being super moms and being, career driven and making sure that they excel in their work, because why would they want to be left behind by other people who don't have kids, for example? And there's just a lot of things happening in life that wouldn't have to be there if women could just sit back, relax, receive their passive income from their man who's making massive amounts of money that has no relevance really to the importance of the kids. Yes, the kids need the money, the kids need, stuff and clothing and, traveling and all that stuff to be emotionally fulfilled, of course. But having emotionally fulfilled kids is the priority. And the making of money is so that there's security and there's activities and there's everything that the kids need. Okay, but it comes second. It comes to fulfill the kids, but also to solve solutions for the worldwide, problems as well. So anyway, continue.
We second guess and stress over all the parenting decisions that we make, and all too often we feel like failures and frauds.
She's almost crying.
Got it.
Yeah, almost crying because she feels like a failure.
Somewhere
and she's a doctor.
In our frantic and overscheduled lives, we might have a husband with all of his needs and demands as well. Most of us somehow manage to maintain a career. Back in the 50s and 60s, mothers thought, if only they could have a career, life would be good. And earning our own money and having our own careers has been good. But the problem that has no name remains. If you're relating to any of this, you are not alone.
So you see the aspect of being isolated and alone and believing that if I could just go out there and get a job and have my own security and not have a man dictating over me and having, power over me because he's the one who's making the money. If you manage to remain in your femininity and let go and surrender, ooh, that's a tough one for women. But if you manage to do that, as long as he's a trustworthy man who's got a lot of cash, okay? He needs to be trustworthy, and that's why he needs the stamp of approval from other men of high value. But if he has that, you can relax, you can let go, you can surrender, and you can focus on yourself and your family. Like, women are out in the workforce because they didn't want to be isolated and depressed. And now they're out in the workforce and they're still depressed and isolated, and it's probably even worse because of the failure and the guilt and all that stuff with their family not really working out, but they're actually succeeding at their work. It's not fulfilling. And why would you want to live a life that's not fulfilling? So how can you get over that depression and isolation? Let's keep watching.
I started researching and asking the tough questions. I found that since the 1970s, women have been reporting less life satisfaction than men. I asked myself, why is this? As I dug deep, one thing became clear. Women need closeness with other human beings every day. And this is not the same as casual connections. We are spending upwards of 30 hours a week online with at least 1 hour a day on Facebook. Yet I found that over the past 40 years, our friendship networks have shrunk. We move around on average 11 times throughout our lifetime. And shuttling kids around has caused moms to spend more time in their cars rather than socializing with others.
So you have shuttling kids around to their different activities. Oh, they have to do this and they have to do that. And the mother is the taxi driver. She's the chef. She's the everything, you know. She comes home from work and then she goes out and drives the kids everywhere. And she's busy, busy, busy. Busy, busy, busy. What the heck is going on? If you had been a stay-at-home mother with your two best friends, you wouldn't have to be busy, 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 mate. Right? You wouldn't have to do that. Because there's always someone that can drive the kids to where they need to go. Do you understand what I mean? Like, there's always ways that there's so many solutions. There's so many possibilities when you're three. This is from a practical standpoint of mothers and children, okay? I'm not even talking about the stuff that you guys don't want to hear about, but that's, you know, the sexuality with the husband, and I don't want to share my husband, and blah, 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 blah. We're not even talking about that now. Like, eventually we're going to go deep into that aspect. But right now it's just about this, the practicality of how it works with three women in the home working together to create an empire, working together to solve the practical everyday solutions and not having to work and being relaxed on a continual basis and enjoying your life, doing what you want when you want to do it because you want to do it with the people that you want to do it with. Okay? It's amazing what can happen when you're not living in monogamy. With you being the superwoman, doing everything for your kids and trying to be there for your man as well.
And did you know that social isolation is hazardous to our physical health as well? One university study showed that patients were 50% more likely to survive disease if they had close friendships. And social isolation and the feeling of loneliness is a major health issue that increases your risk of death, more so than smoking or obesity.
Boom. Man, this is an amazing discovery that they've made. The fact that being isolated or lonely and depressed actually kills you more than smoking and obesity. Are you kidding me? Like, how is that possible, right? Smoking and obesity, have you seen how many deaths that cause a year? Okay, being lonely is one of the biggest pandemics, okay, that is going on in the world today. And it's from the fact that women are living outside of their inherent nature. Their nature is to live monogamously towards one man, but to live in polygynous relationships where they have amazing connections with the other women that are in love with their same man. Women were designed to do that from the get-go. It's been like that from the beginning of time, and it's continued like this, and it's going to remain that way forever. Okay? It's not going to change. This is women's nature. And when they understand this, they become healthier. Okay? You actually decrease your likelihood of dying earlier by simply living polygyny if the man is doing the thing, is providing and protecting your emotions and taking the blame continuously and basically applying all the principles of Three Girls in Love that we teach on this channel. If the man does that, women can live longer, they'll live happier, they'll have a fulfilled life, and it's amazing what can happen when you actually let go and surrender to that kind of lifestyle.
So what do we do?
What
Do we
do?
say that this is the problem that has no name and therefore has no solution? I don't think so. In researching this topic over the last several years, I've come to think that if each one of the clients that I see in my practice had a best friend, my practice might be cut in half. We need to spend some of those hours that we're online with a female friend instead.
Female friend, okay? She says that if she just had a best friend, that would be the solution. Do you know how difficult it is to get a best friend and then keep that best friend? Okay? It's very difficult. Why? Because they're not going in the same direction. That's why. They have a different life. They have a different romantic partner. They have different kids. They have probably a career because they don't think like you, right? And they don't, even if they were stay-at-home mothers, it's messy. There's a lot of commitments. There's a lot of stuff going on. And women are struggling with remaining best friends. And she also mentioned it herself. People move around up to 11 times in their lifetime. 11 times. What's the probability that your best friend is going to join you, okay, all those moves? Why do you move? Because the man needs it for his career, okay? If you begin to see the aspect, make the connections that I'm trying to explain to you guys, that I've connected these dots, okay, and discovered Three Girls in Love. Three Girls in Love was not an invention. It was discovered because it's that which works in the long run and in the big scheme of things for women, children, and men. Okay? And basically she superficially goes over the answer being a best friend would be amazing if you had that. But it's very difficult since they're not going in the same direction. Once you have women going in the exact same direction, which is basically the man's vision for the family, the man basically creating this purpose for the family of basically, let's take care of the kids, let's make them absolutely amazing, let's develop wealth so that we can do whatever we want with our money, so that we're not reliant on the government, so that we're not reliant on our other family, so we're not reliant on anyone. We're self-sufficient, we're rich, we help out others, and we create an emotionally fulfilled life for all of us in our family. That's the direction that you want to go. And that's the belief system and the values that you should have based upon what you guys decide together as a family. The probability that you will manage to get another woman who has a different man to think the exact same way that this other man is doing in everything is very minuscule.
As I've shared with you today, I wasn't immune either. So now I reach out to others more. And even when I'm tired and I don't want to go out.
Oh my gosh, this is crucial. This is crucial. Here you will see masculinity in action. What does she say? You have to be masculine, women. This is the only way that you're gonna, be able to have long-term fulfilling relationships. Not so. The more masculine you become, the more you do things that you don't want to do, even though you don't feel like doing it, and you still do it anyway, that will solve all your problems. No, it's the opposite of solving all your problems. It will create more problems. The fact that you're trying to control yourself and discipline yourself to do something that you don't want to do, it's kind of like, I don't want to have sex, but fine. Like, all right, let's do it. Ew, why would you want to do that? It's discipline. You want to flow with nature in your life. You don't want to do things that you don't want to do. If you do things that you don't want to do, you're surrendering to masculinity by being disciplined. But surrendering to masculinity means going against nature, meaning going against your health, meaning going against everything that life was all about for you as a woman. Men are supposed to be masculine. Men are supposed to do things when they don't feel like doing it. Men are supposed to overcome their feminine tendencies. Okay? But you as a woman, you're supposed to remain in your femininity and simply enjoy. The definition of femininity is being unburdened. Not burden yourself with reaching out. Not burden yourself with when you're tired, that's when you need to call your best friend. Okay? Yeah, but what if she rejects you? What if she doesn't have capacity for you right now? Because that's highly probable, right? She might have issues, she might have different problems, she might not have time for you because she needs to do this, that, and the other. And then you're like, oh, okay, no problem, okay, bye. And then you hang up and you're like, who else can I call? Okay, well, I could try my other best friend. Hi, how are you doing? Oh, you're busy too. Okay, great. Oh, how are you? Like, how long will you be able to continuously do that for 20 to 30 to 40 years? This is your lifestyle if you choose monogamy, in my opinion. Now, you can come back to me once you've practiced monogamy for 10 years and let me know if I'm wrong. I'd love to hear that I'm wrong. It would be awesome. Okay? If monogamy was fantastic, then great. Let's do monogamy. But it's not. And it doesn't work very well. Let's keep listening to our last two minutes and then we'll finish up.
I still meet that friend out. And we share our stories. Because collective stories create community. And I've banned being busy. I won't let busy build walls that keep me apart from other people. Together, in our small towns or our large cities, we need to be a part of eliminating this problem. So let's start by calling a friend anytime. And when we kiss our kids goodnight and we're tired, let's still call a friend, even if just to say, how was your day? Let's get together with a friend, reach out to an old friend, make a new friend, resolve issues with people from the past. As I think about the importance of friendship for all of us, and especially in my own life, I'm reminded of this beautiful line said by Susan Sarandon in the movie Shall We Dance? And it goes something like, we all need a witness. There are 1 billion people on the planet. So what does any one life really mean? When you have a close friend, you're saying your life will not go unnoticed because I will notice it. Your life will not go unwitnessed because I will be your witness. Moms of all ages and all stages, this problem has been around for at least 50 years. And it's up to each and every one of us to make sure it's not around for the next 50 years. Thank you.
So, yeah, basically that was it. I hope that you guys got a lot out of it. Let me just stretch that out. As you can see, it is critical to understand this aspect of friendship, okay? But what are the deepest friendships that you will ever get? And trust me, it's going to be 3 Girls in Love. You will never have the same kind of depth with other people in your life than you have with your 2 best friends forever, as going in the same direction, enjoying your life the way that I've explained on this channel. There are so many other benefits that I could talk about when it comes to having those 2 best friends. Health benefits, being excited benefits, being bubbly and all over the place benefits. You know, being able to relax on a continual basis when you need to relax. Always having capacity to do so. Always having capacity to help other people. Isn't that what life is about? Being able to go out there and do things for other people. In monogamy, you will be tired. In monogamy, you will be disciplined. In monogamy, you're going to be busy again and again and again every single day. Really? And then you die? Was that what life was all about? If you understand the woman, you will understand the world. Understanding the world includes understanding 3 Girls in Love, responsible polygyny, as explained on this channel. And I go into depth about it. Please subscribe, like this video, share it with your friends. Oh my gosh, that would be an interesting discussion. and I'll see you in the next one.